order. Welcome to our February 13, 2012 regular board meeting. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Farquhar.
Here.
Gray.
Here.
Horne.
Here.
Franzer. Here. Scott.
Here.
Stockton.
Here.
Total.
Present. Sure, we'll pause for a second.
I put my stuff up. This is the reason why we get your printer off stuff up. It's not wasting money.
Thank you.
Boom shot. That's okay. Are you ready, Mr. Wallace?
I am, sir.
Okay, we're going to go on to C, open to public non-agenda items. If you have something you'd like to speak about, please come to the podium, give your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to tell us what's going on. I guess we have no takers. Thank you. I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as is.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to remove the bills, please. Number 3.
Okay.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to pull number 3.
So moved. For second?
Roll call. 1 moment. Trustee Horne.
I second it.
Farquhar.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Horne.
Yes.
Franzer. Yes. Scott.
Yes.
Stockton.
Yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion to accept item number 1 and number 2.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Gray.
Yes.
Horne.
Yes.
Franzer. Yes. Scott.
Yes.
Stockton.
Yes.
Farquhar.
Yes.
Okay, now that brings us on to number 3. Trustee Farquhar.
Yes, sir. I know we talked about this before, about the tracking of the departmental use of fuel and such, and maybe I'm just missing it here. I went through this and I don't see the breakdown anymore. It's just kind of reminiscent of the, because I thought we had these new fobs or something like that, where we're controlling the departmental usage of, so we can identify that. Can I miss it in here, Mr. Administrator?
No, you did not miss it. The actual departmental breakdown of fuel is an internal report. This is a vendor report. So once we pay for the fuel to the vendor, then the actual breakdown by department is an internal report that gets charged back on the budget. If you would like that report,
Well, I just want clarification, because I know we had it where it used to be broken down by department in the, not the AP warrant list, but the, what was it? On the claim sheet, it was broken down on the claim sheet before.
on the by department,
I believe it was.
okay.
Back before we switched over to the new
Key fob.
key fob thing we have out there.
We can certainly include that as an additional report.
I just wanted to know what happened with it, that's all.
That's
Nothing
it?
Nothing further.
Yep.
Entertain a motion to accept number 3.
So,
Looking for a second. Roll call, please.
Who seconded? Horne.
Yes.
Franzer. Yes. Scott.
Yes.
Stockton.
Yes.
Farquhar.
yes.
Gray.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have anything?
I do, Mayor. need to approve the holding of the executive session minutes that were reviewed at the January 23rd meeting. So we'll go to the ones that were held, and I'll read off the dates. They were July 24th, 2011, February 1st, 2012, February 8th, 2012, March 28th, 2012, April 30th, 2012, May 9th, 2012, June 13th, 2012, July 11th, 2012, July 25th, 2012, August 8th, 2012, August 22nd, 2012, September 12th, 2012, October 10th, 2012, October 24th, 2012, and December 12th, 2012. And that isn't, I need a motion and a second on that. That's all to hold those executive session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kranzer? Yes. Pop?
Yes.
Stockton?
Yes.
Farquhar?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Horne?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And Mr. Mayor, I need a motion to release the following minutes that were also reviewed at the same meeting of January 23rd. Those minutes are from September 28th, 2011, October 26th, 2012, February 22nd, 2012, April 11th, 2012, and June 27th, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Pop?
Yes.
Stockton?
Yes.
Farquhar?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Horne?
Yes.
Kranzer? Yes.
Motion carries.
And Mayor, I just had one other thing, just to let the residents know that early voting for the special primary election that's going to be held on February 26th is happening here at the Village Hall from 9 to 4:30. So if anybody's interested in early voting, they can come here. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll turn it over to the Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item F1 on your agenda references a letter received from Eagle Ridge Farm, and it is a request to operate a farm stand. The letter is attached and is specific on the, pretty much specific on the dates that they would like to do that. The reason it's before the board, if you recall, we had other requests to operate a non-traditional, if you will, brick and mortar type business. And I suggested to Mr. Rocky Batterman that he submit this letter to the board for consideration.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do you recall our prior decision of a similar business? I believe it was on Industrial Drive. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I do realize that at that time there was some concern regarding competition with existing business owners and things of that nature. Mr. Batterman explained to me verbally on the phone that you know, there's no direct competition at this point with this type of facility, and I again suggested he put it in form of writing. He did so, and it is here for your pleasure.
Discussion, please. Yeah, I like the idea of having a farm stand in town. I think a lot of people do. When we tried to have it at the Village Hall in the past, it didn't seem to go so well because there wasn't enough traffic visibility for it. On Governor's Highway would be a good location for it. I think this is the kind of thing you have to look at on a year-by-year basis. But I would like to see something like this. I do believe there may be some concern pertaining to the structure that he's talking about having there, a temporary building of sorts. I'm not opposed to it, but I would maybe like to see at least a picture of what it looks like so we understand if it's, you know, what all is composed with that.
Trustee Farquhar?
I'm sorry, go
Yes.
ahead.
No. I do believe that through the building department, we can handle the allowable structures and so forth if the board desires that. But the business, the actual operation of the business and the allowance of that needs to come from this body.
And I would assume that you would have a business permit and you sales tax, whatever else would get, the village would get their share and all that stuff.
You notice he don't mention no sales tax on his letter.
Well, we can stipulate that.
We may be able to if you want to get that part on the road, sir. All right, anybody else want to put some input on this?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little bit confused. The farm stand that I remember being on Governor's Highway, just like, they sold corn and some vegetables and some fruit, and that was the extent of it. The farm stand that I believe you're talking about was when they had multiple sellers.
That was a farmer's
Which-
market.
Farmer's market, I'm sorry, okay. So I don't remember a farm stand being out here. It was a farmer's market. So which one are we looking at? Just a farm stand?
A farm stand. In that part where there's a turnaround on the west side of Governor's Highway,
Mhm.
north of Dan Huffrey's business over there.
Okay.
And what you want to take in consideration also is traffic per se. He's renting that spot according to his letter. And what I gotta say is if you start for one, you might have a whole bunch out there.
Well, my other concern is this portable cook building. To me, it sounds like the same issue that we had before, it's not that long ago, so that's my concern. The actual farm stand, I'm okay with, it's the cooking aspect of it, there's no water. If you're cooking, you have to have some access to water.
Can we confirm that if he were to do any cooking or whatever, that all that has to be get approved by the Will County Health Department? And also that would be a criteria that have to meet.
Anybody on that side of the aisle have some input on this, because we're gonna take a vote, because this is gonna be going back and forth, I believe.
Well, I would just like to say that I'm totally against the portable cook building. I don't mind if, go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Cook is a name. I don't believe they're intending to do any preparation, okay? So I don't want that to be misconstrued. And Mr. Mayor, I did relay to Mr. Batterman that if this board had specific questions for him, the board may table it, and Mr. Batterman would be willing to come in. He's not opposed to that. He'd like to come in and have the opportunity if the board desires, but the things related to Mr. Batterman were traffic concerns for safety, off-street parking, the ease for exiting Route 50 and for entering back onto Route 50, and the type of structure that he would have. The type of structure that he's suggesting is a cook design building, not for cooking, it's just the name of it. So hopefully that clears that up just a little
I don't
bit.
think you allow anybody to have a building on somebody else's property like
It's kind of a temporary structure, you know,
that. Does it fit our ordinance?
put it up. That's what I would suggest that the building department would run that through the ordinance, and if it doesn't fit, then you can't have it.
I'd make a motion that we approve this, barring any zoning or variance that we might have to deal with on the building itself. The farm stand
It's
itself,
something you haven't even seen.
farm stand, I'm improving the farm stand, not necessarily the building. That's
I
what I
make a
think.
motion that we table this until we get Mr. Badman in here, figure out what's going on.
Is there a second on the table?
And then we can,
Second.
I can decide whether we're gonna approve it or not.
Roll
Mr.
call,
Mayor?
please. What, sir?
You didn't even let mine be heard.
You want yours to be heard?
Yes, I did.
So you're gonna table?
I made a motion, and you didn't even give a chance for anybody to second it, it was interrupted. Am I wrong?
Well, no, you're not wrong what happened, but this is how we conduct here.
No, it isn't, that's not Robert's rule.
Thank you, sir, for the
Well,
education.
Okay, would you, we'll do it this way. I'll let you get your second and then I'll table it. How's that?
I make a motion that we approve this with the possible exception of the building pending whatever variances and things that might be necessary for that specifically, but the farm stand itself should be approved.
I'll second that.
I make a motion we table this until we get Mr. Badman in here to take a look at see what the building looks like and exactly see what its full intent is.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Which are we voting on?
Table.
Table, sir.
Stockton,
Yes.
Farquhar,
No.
Gray,
Yes?
Horne,
No.
Franzer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Motion carries the table to, you want it, trustee Stockton, at the next meeting?
Next meeting's fine if he can make it. If not, then whenever he can make a meeting.
Well, Madam Clerk, over the next meeting date.
23rd.
Yep.
23rd?
27th.
27th, sorry.
Yes.
That's the date.
Thank you, sir. The next item on your agenda is item F2. That has to do with the solid waste contract. You have before you my explanation. You have the spreadsheet that shows the costs for the type of service that we've outlined on this. And if you recall, at the August 22nd meeting, the board authorized the mayor and myself to negotiate on behalf of the village for the solid waste contract. This is the results of that. We're bringing forth the honed results of that, which would provide weekly Friday curbside pickup of trash that includes a 96-gallon toter. There are other sizes available on request. Bulk item weekly. It includes every other week recycling curbside, including a 96-gallon toter. Smaller toters are available upon request. And it also provides for yard waste April 1st through November 30th of each year, by way that the resident can present yard waste for collection on a weekly basis during that time frame by either the purchase and filling the craft paper bags, yard waste bags. That's one way of doing it. They can directly rent or purchase a toter from the provider, or they can use their existing containers not to exceed 35 gallons, and the service provider will provide a yard waste sticker, permanent yard waste sticker, which is for identification purposes only, to identify yard waste is in that can, not trash, so that the proper truck picks it up.
And that is at no cost, correct, Mr. Ross, the sticker?
That is at no cost, that's provided. Moving down, if you take a look at the totals that you have down there, I have broken it down below the brown box there. In the green is a per household cost over the life of the contract. And we're speaking of a 10-year contract. So those are the costs for one household over the term of the contract. And below that is the cost for the 1,924 accounts that we have over the life of the contract. The 0 represents the lowest bid that was given to us. And then, as you can see, in the column, far right column, that is the next lowest bid, and that's the difference. And then the first column is the other proposal that we have. I would like to point out that there's a couple of things here. Number one would be that the proposal, well, basically is that through our negotiations, we're able to basically, if you see, the village gets for refuse, the residents receive a free toter for refuse, and they receive basically free yard service, free yard waste collection.
I've got a question pertaining to the free yard waste thing. I was been told there's no free lunch, and in this case, I'm not sure that free yard waste is truly free, because we're paying more annually per household to include that, I would believe.
We are not.
Well, as compared to, and I only have the summer year, so I don't have the 5 or 7 years and all the other kind of stuff that was in there. But my presumption would be that if we were to ask for the same pricing from the same vendors, we might even get different prices if it were not to include the yard waste as a prepaid or included item. So I'm just speculating that. I know personally for me, I've never used the yard waste option at all. I don't know how many residents have. I venture to guess that not very many of them do, proportionately to the whole population. And therefore, why should the whole population pay for a feature or benefit that doesn't serve the general population in its whole?
I would, trustee Stockton, if I might, I'd only like to point out that our current bill is $14.70. Is that correct? And you can see the proposed price there.
I understand.
That's where the word, maybe free is not the proper word, but it's included.
And there again, what are the prices with and without yard waste as an included free whatever item, before we make a decision to automatically include it for everyone? I'd like to know where it's at if we don't. And, it's to me, it just seems prudent to take that into account.
Trustee Stockton.
I have a question. How much in sales do we do in stickers and in lawn bags?
I could not tell you that.
Because when I drive around on Fridays or Thursday nights, there's a ton of them out there. Personally, I think it's a great offer for the residents to use. It'll save time and just basically time for the people in the front office, so you don't have to sit there during the summer and I need bags, I need stickers, I need bags, I need stickers. I personally think it's a great idea.
I also do believe that also takes in leaves. And then at that particular time, we no longer have to send out labor to go suck up leaves. That's also included in there.
Which, by the way, is a very dangerous operation. As many people put other than leaves in with the leaves, and it puts our employees in harm's way. Many communities, in fact, the majority, have eliminated leaf pickup because of the cost. We have to literally truck the leaves to another location, along with vacuuming them up with a dangerous piece of equipment. Hours of labor and the hazard. I think that this is great.
Well, personally, I'd like to see the proposals either way, not just a summary. I mean, I'm not real big on getting spoon-fed information, so I'd like to see the entirety of the information.
Are you looking for a approval time?
That's entirely up to this board.
I'd like to also bring up the fact that regardless of who we go with, whether it be a current provider or a different provider, I don't know, and I don't know that we've had any problems with whoever the providers are, but it would be good to know if other municipalities who have had any of these providers have had a favorable, and I don't know, because maybe you've already identified that, I don't know. I'd like to know the general attitude pertaining to all three of the providers that we're looking at. Because if you're talking a 10-year contract, customer reviews, I'm looking at this and going, 10 years, that's a long time to get an operation that we're not real happy with. But, you're kind of stuck with it. I mean, what recourse do you have if you find that their quality of service is not up to your expectations? I know of other municipalities where they've had to deal with the garbage handlers have not been the most careful, and they've left trash blowing around and everything else. I know the totes help remedy that. I just like to make sure that we're not taking it for granted.
Understood. What you have before you is simply the pricing structure. It is not the contract. Many of the concerns of performance are handled via the contract. And, basically that at some point, what I would be requesting the board to do is to authorize the attorney to draw up an ordinance and review a contract, and enter into contract discussions with the provider. That's where you're going to get into, the days of the week that you pick up and things of that nature, and how you cover a work stoppage and performance bonds and things of that nature. I'm merely showing the negotiated rates that we got to for providing, the best service to the residents, because after all, this is residents, the residents' money, it's not ours. And this was at the direction that the board gave to the mayor and myself, so whatever your pleasure is.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the contract for 1760, or for the 10-year contract with Allied Waste.
Is there a second out there?
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Yes, sir.
Just Attorney Krachewski, what is the proper movement forward from here? Is it just giving you direction at this point to draw up a contract?
I would ask whoever the board chooses as a contract for our review.
Okay.
Because they haven't seen a contract per se.
Yeah,
We could ask them to submit a contract so we can address it.
because definitely that's the best price.
I'd like to make a motion that this be tabled until such time that we can review all the proposals in entirety. And also get a quality assessment from other municipalities that are using all three vendors.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Council, I have a question for you. If someone on this board has a working relationship or has a conflict of interest, should they not vote on any of this?
Well, if it's an obvious conflict, they should make it apparent to the public board.
Well, we can fully disclose that the company that I work for has done work for home disposal. And the reason that they did is because they have a lot of employees in the community. They're locally owned, they're operated here. They're not one of these mega companies like Allied or Waste Management that keep buying up all the little companies and don't really care as much about the community. That being said, I don't have any personal benefit as a result of that, just to be clear.
That's adequate.
Okay,
That's all I have.
let's take a roll call on that motion to table.
Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray,
No.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer,
No.
Pop,
No.
Stockton.
No.
Motion fails. You want to see which other motion, trustee Stockton?
Yes, I want to continue with the motion.
Trustee Stockton, your motion was to authorize LI or whoever the board picked to submit a contract
Yeah,
for the board.
because they're definitely the best rate, and that's what we're here for, is to make sure we give the community the best rate for everything, whether it's water, sewer, garbage. That's our jobs.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Stockton,
Yes.
Farquhar,
No.
Motion carries.
Mayor, if I could just add, I know the vote is taken and I am happy with the decision, but just for our residents, what we're looking at is 3 different companies that submitted 10 years, prices over 10 years. And the company that we chose has the lowest price for our residents. And going over all this information, and I had a list of questions that I called and talked to the administrator about. So I just want it stated that this is the best price. And I think with the contract, we can put something in there about customer satisfaction. Every company you're gonna have your ups and downs with, and you have to work out the little tweaks, and I think that by going with the best price, and from everything I see here, thank you, Mr. Wells, for putting this together, I think you did a great job, but I think going with the best price to save our residents the most money over a 10-year period, it to me makes the most sense, so that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, item F3 on the agenda is a TIF 3 payout request from Metro Chicago Industrial Acquisition Corporation for a project located at 25777 South Cleveland Avenue, and the requested amount is $255,813.86. After review of the requested TIF payout, all items were found to be in order in accordance with the redevelopment agreement, and is before this board for approval.
That's in the form of a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Stockton,
Yes.
Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray.
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Item F4 on the agenda is also a TIF 3 payout request from Metro Chicago Industrial Acquisition Corporation for a project located at 25975 South Cleveland Avenue. That request is in the amount of $217,415.30. And once again, after review of the request, all items were found to be in accordance with the redevelopment agreement. It is before this board for approval.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Franzer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Stockton,
Yes.
Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Item F5, please refer to the amended item F5. If it wasn't part of your agenda, I handed it out, but anyway, it has to deal with the new park building expenses. As we work toward bringing that project to completion, there are expenses that the board should be aware of and approve as we move forward, which ranges from ceiling, grid and tile to stairwell, fire door, rear door exit, some paint and drywall supplies, much of which these are handled via in-house labor. We do have a large ticket item for fire alarm equipment. That is the required pull stations for a public building and so forth. Plumbing finishings for code compliance, wood trim, which consists of handrails and base trim and etc., as well as lighting. And currently we will be repurposing some lighting that the village was able to handle from another project. That would be from the project that was here in this village hall, as you see this lighting improvement here. The total amount on those estimates is $20,200, and I am recommending approval in the amount not to exceed $22,000. As I'd indicated, some of the above are simply that they're estimates. We don't expect anything to supersede that, but there's just a little cushion. And it should be noted that there will be items for future consideration that will come back before this board, having to deal with such things as window treatments, intrusion alarm, carpeting, tables and chairs, kitchen prep tables and or cabinets, and some ADA compliancy for sidewalk from the current parking area. I'm not saying that all those things are a must, but we're getting down to the point where the village has to pick and choose how we're going to spend those dollars. So before this board for consideration is approval of expenditures not to exceed $22,000 in this round.
Mr. Administrator?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but I'm really, I hate to say it like this, I'm just a little torqued about it. The reality is this is a project that's been going on now for, I believe, 5 years approximately. And I have actually tried to have this on my committee meetings under public property, which would seem logical that that's where this should be. It's never been even allowed to be on my agenda items. When I've asked for it to be on my agenda items, it's been removed before posting. To the best of my knowledge, if I recall correctly, the mayor at the time it started was the general contractor for the project.
No, you're incorrect.
Okay, well, that
Well,
was,
then, don't say nothing incorrect.
I did, I said to the best of my knowledge.
Well, you got bad knowledge there, sir.
Well, the point is this project was estimated to be a certain dollar amount 5 years ago. And for the last 4 years, it seems like it's gone nowhere. And now all of a sudden, this is being done bypassing committee, even though it should have gone through committee for some of us, but it didn't. And now it's going for board approval with basically no accountability to what's next. I'd just like an answer on that, because I'm frankly very frustrated about it.
Maybe I can give you an answer on that, trustee Farquhar. In 2007, when that building was approved by the prior administration to be built, it was to be built on impact fee money. Okay, you got me so far? That was
Sure.
$159,000. We spent it on impact fee, it was designed to go in that direction. Then came 2009. No house has been built, no impact fees have come in. So I slowed it down to almost a dead halt in 2009, and I became mayor. And when I became mayor, I looked at the finances of this village. And I said to myself, like any good steward, the people in this village, do I fix the holes in front of the street, in front of the houses, or I put a building together that it's more of a want than it is a need? Okay, a year ago, we started moving forward again because we got our finances, it's in place, and that's where we are today. Some of these issues here were never an issue before because both the codes have changed. Our inspector said there were some things that had to be added on, like an extra door that wasn't in the initial stuff. All I can tell you is, there's nothing wrong with that building, it needs to be completed, the people want to complete it, we can afford to complete it at this time.
And what line item is this coming out of? Is there already within our budget for this? Is it already part of our stated budget for this?
Yes, there's a, I don't have it in front of me, but it's 22, is that correct? It's a Department 22 budget, which is a Buildings and Grounds Department, and Parks has a line item on there specific to where that is. And I apologize for not bringing out a current budget with me. Just 1 second, I think we'll have something.
I'm sorry.
Do you have 0122 on there?
I'm looking real quick to see if anything was 514.
0122,
No, no, I'm sorry. 515.
Okay. And the appropriated amount on
I
there?
don't have the appropriate amount, this is just an AP list where I have some drivers.
I see, all right, I'm sorry.
You can get that if you'd like in the next few seconds.
That's in the form of a motion.
I'd just like to restate my frustration on this because, you know, there have been violations of open meetings because of committees that we concocted.
That's not correct.
So moved.
That's not
Motion
correct.
to pay this.
Yes.
You like to make lies and statements, trustee Farquhar, you're pretty good at it, get it to the
But
public.
exactly why is
But
it
you
being
have-
omitted from my agenda when I've asked for it to be on my
In the
agenda
very
multiple
beginning,
times?
I told you, you have no experience in construction. Mr. Pop has
Then
been
why assign
45
me to
years.
over public property?
I'm sorry?
And why create a committee that you and
I
he
didn't create no committee.
collaborate on?
Can we sit down here with
Behind
a
closed doors, it's a violation of open meetings.
There's been no meetings behind closed doors, sir.
Tell
You know
me
what-
the truth, you and Jim Pop have not talked about any of the buildings in this village. You haven't gone on inspections of the police department together, you haven't been over to Creamery dealing with buildings over there, you haven't been in the park building together, talking about
So would you
conditions
like
and
to
stuff.
explain to this gentleman?
It might be best we just get back to the issues. The other thing we might want to consider, I don't think that's necessary, but it should be on the record. The aggregate amount's $20,000. It should waive bid process. I don't think that's necessary, but just in case. If you're talking $22,000, it's a $2,000 difference. It's not going to go into one contractor, but rather be safe than sorry. Because you're not bifurcating the bid process, you might exceed $20,000.
I make the motion that we bypass the bid process.
Looking for a second.
Second that. Discussion.
Discussion.
As far as the future considerations, the window treatments, alarm, carpeting, et cetera, I guess I would like to know how much is that going to cost as well?
Do you have a rough idea?
There's a to be determined on that toll right now because we want to make sure that we get this
It's a
stuff
few
down. We're
sets
waiting
of
for
shades or
some quotes from them.
Venetians, that's the window treatments we're talking about. Some of the stuff that really just finishes it off.
How much does an intrusion alarm cost?
Well, that intrusion alarm is just like what we have here on the the village hall, in case somebody breaks in, it goes to Eastcom. They're fairly reasonable, like a few $100.
The items that trustee Horne, the items that are up for future consideration, once those prices have been determined, that will be back before this board for approval or denial. And you can pick or choose. We would have, the reason they're not included on here is because we didn't have the pricing that you actually are looking for.
If we approve this $20,000 payout, do we have occupancy? I mean, is this the threshold for occupancy? Can we start using it?
This will put us within compliance of all 3 inspections, fire, plumbing, electric, and also with our.
So then occupancy should be gotten.
If you want to stand around without tables and chairs.
Well, tables
But
and chairs.
it will get us in the building.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay.
Roll call, please.
So this is going to be reviewed, review process first.
You have to wait the committee process.
One more at a time.
Well,
I
it's
understand.
one and the same.
Attorney Kojewski, am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Pop,
Yes.
Stockton?
Yes.
Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion, we do not exceed the $22,000 for the action items that they're requesting to bring the park building up to code.
Look for a second.
Second that.
Roll call, please.
Stockton,
Yes.
Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer, yes, Pop.
Yes.
Mr.
Motion
Mayor?
carries. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
If I could add something in here, if I may, pertaining to the second item that's under, I just want to be clear, as trustee Stockton brought up, pertaining to the solid waste contract, the company I work for has a working relationship with Home Disposal. Let it also be duly noted that the company I work for also has a working relationship with Skyline Disposal, which is now a member company of Allied Waste. So, in that regard, it's not an issue solely of any kind of a positional relationship. It is strictly an issue of making sure we're doing diligence and making sure we're taking care of the matters at hand of quality control and such. So, I just want to make sure that that was clearly stated as well. So I've got a working relationship with a number of businesses in this region, but that shouldn't be a reason why I can't go on with this.
That's it, sir. Is that it, sir?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Under the mayor's agenda, I have nothing to report at this time. Mr. Attorney, I do believe you have a few things.
The one item I have is the proclamation for the Boy Scout Month. Everything for the record for the board's review. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America has been at the forefront of instilling the timeless values of leadership, achievement, patriotism, community service, and character, and environmental stewardship in youth since its founding in 1910. And whereas this national youth movement has made serving others through its value-based programs its mission. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America is committed to helping millions of youth succeed by providing support, friendship, and mentoring necessary to live a happy and fulfilling life. And whereas there are more than 525 community organizations that make scouting available for more than 14,000 youth members in our state who participate in the scouting program as a means of character building, citizenship training, and personal fitness. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America celebrates the anniversary of the founding of the scouting movement during the entire month of February, now therefore be it proclaimed by the mayor and the board of trustees of the village of Monee that the month of February 2013 be proclaimed as Boy Scouts of America month throughout the village of Monee, and urge all its citizens to recognize this observance. Dated February 13, 2013.
Thank you, sir. Anything else on the report? Do you need a motion on that?
For your sign.
All right, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Stockton.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Come down to committee reports. Trustee Stockton with finance.
We had a finance committee meeting last Thursday afternoon, and we discussed the rental policies and procedures for the park building and
There are certain factors that may or may not have been brought into that, the way they park the trucks with the doors open towards the back, it creates a bellow chamber and stuff like that. I don't know if any of those things were taken into account based on the other model that they were basing it on. But the forecast study was done in 2003. I don't have a copy of it here in front of me, but the one that was given to Guberman was after that. And it was one where they had cited that there was a violation according to village levels. State levels and village levels are real close to each other.
And did they solve that problem?
They did not. There was a change of ownership in the property at the time. At the time, it was owned by Bailey Ridge, I believe, if I remember correctly. And it was then sold to, no, I'll tell you.
LaSalle Investment Management was the owner in between. So it went
Okay,
from
so-
LFI to LaSalle to High Street.
Okay, so there was a transition a couple times there, but somewhere in the process, when you start with a new ownership, possibly a new tenant arrangement, or whatever the situation may be, you really gotta start all over, because you can't assume that the next tenant's gonna have the same issues.
That's just sufficient.
Okay, so back to my original question, if you could. That's okay. So 2003, you said that was the forecast sound study, so we can't consider that because it wasn't done on location. So there was another one done,
I forget what you.
Administrator Guberman was here,
Right.
but again, it has since changed hands. We did another one, correct?
The one,
Just
the
recently.
one we did in August was done where the sensors, the microphones, if you will, were down in, I don't wanna say a ravine, it sounds exaggerated, but they were actually below grade from where the properties are actually at. Because of there's like, when you have a berm, you gotta have a runoff areas, which is lower to keep it from invading the other property. So it was actually done at, I believe, 6 feet up approximately, which is underneath the trees and the vegetation and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of protected in those regards, but it was also down much lower than the sound would even typically flow over. So if you're shooting something over that, it would skip right over the top of all that. That's the premise. And so what we're doing now is we're requesting a sound study done at the property line at the grade level as well as an elevated level, but also on the back of the property, so we can identify the amount of intrusion, if there is any. We don't know that there is, but just to get an identification of it.
Right, but I thought when that sound study, if my memory is correct, and who knows, but I thought at that time they had stated that they did different elevations for that reason, and they were even on the street level.
No, if I recall correctly, the one from August only indicated that they did them right at the property line, and I believe they stated approximately 6 feet off the tripod or they hang them off the tree or whatever they did.
And there were four different locations along the bordering properties. One to the south, there was an existing home, or one of the homes that are having this issue. There was another home that was having an issue, and then the furthest home to the north is where another.
But that was all done right at the property line, which is kind of like hidden, if you will, from potentially the sound would jump over that. It'd be like hiding in a hallway closet, it's gonna be over in the hall. It's gonna dampen the sound you actually hear that.
Yes, sir.
I do have some clarification. Trustee Farquhar, you had asked for a fifth point.
Yes, sir.
I was able to get that re-quoted from both of the industries, or from both of the companies. So for the trustees, if you would note on your fact sheet there, Shiner and Associates for the 5-point sound study is $8,970 as opposed to $8,280. And Acoustics by Design for the 5-point sound study is $7,450 as opposed to $6,450, just for clarification.
I just believe the only way we're ever gonna put this to rest is to have it done in such a way that pacifies all concerned by doing elevations and at the homes where the residents are saying that they're feeling, if you will, the impact of this. And once we identify that, then we can identify going forward, because every sound study in the future will have an idea how much of the decibel changes based on height or distance, as a relative expectation. So if you ever had to do a sound study later on in that general, area, hopefully we would not, but there'd be some anticipation you're gonna have a 2 dB gain or loss or whatever based on certain, parameters. This is just a fact-finding issue, and this is not saying that there's a problem, it's just trying to put the issue to rest. We have residents that are looking for a solution, and this, according to what we've identified, they would be satisfied based on the findings of this. So that's all we're asking to do, is just to provide one last sound study that actually has placement based on the criteria of concern.
Anybody else?
I'm sorry, yes. I thought after the last one that they said they would be happy, and it didn't come back in their favor, so I guess I'm just a little bit, I'm starting to feel sorry for the business, because I just feel like we're picking on them to a point. And I mean, and I understand their concerns, I really do. I live next to an expressway, I'm not far from the expressway, I can hear the train tracks, I can hear the trains at nighttime, I mean, and I understand the noise, I really honestly do. They said they would be happy with that sound study, and then when it didn't come back, so I guess that's just my concern. And I'm not trying to be mean to those people, to the residents, and not listen to their concerns. I'm trying to listen to both sides. But I just feel like, when is it gonna stop? Because I don't feel like after the last one, we thought that was gonna be okay, and then it didn't, so now, how much more are we gonna keep going? And my last question, I guess, is for the attorney, can this be paid out of TIF? Because I thought the last one was not.
If it's in a TIF district and we got a surplus in there, it's an engineering study, those are TIF costs.
Did the last one, I don't know if you know, it did come out of the TIF also?
Yes.
I didn't think it did.
Yes, trustee.
Okay.
I just want to bring up one point too. I found out from my investigation that an over-the-road truck driver does not have to comply with the noise level. Am I correct? That assumption? They do not have to follow those regulations. Am I wrong?
Those, I don't know for a fact, personally, legally, I don't know.
When he's on the expressway.
Would you like to come forward, sir? State your name.
David Holston, I'm the general manager of UTI, the facility we're talking about. One of two facilities, Jacobson's the other facility. According to the state statute, which I'm sure you've read, any over-the-road driver that is on our property is exempt. That is the state law.
I guess, sir, there's your answer.
Okay, however, if I may, the noise, and just to go on with what Ms. Granger was saying here, I understand the sound of a highway or railroad and all that kind of stuff. Frankly, when I've sat in the driveways of the residents over there and listened to see what they were saying that they were hearing, and I never heard for myself in the times that I'd gone over there to say that, to me, the sound of the expressway was soothing. To me, it was almost like a brook sound, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it is a white noise, as Doug said. It's just this constant sound, and it's a little distance, and it didn't bother me at all. However, when the sounds that they're referring to, they're being emitted from the property, if this is the issue, is the repair of trailers. It is not just the over-the-road drivers, but it's also the staff at the facility that are actually backing up and dropping and hooking up and doing things like that. They're slamming the trucks in order to do that, is what, and again, I'm not saying that's what's happening, or that's what's being reported. Since there's nobody on the property at the time when it's doing it, as far as like anybody to actually visualize that. Here's the deal, the last sound study came back, and it was done, in my opinion, slightly flawed. Talked to two of the engineering firms. They indicated there would be a possibility of a problem with this. And obviously the one that took place in the same layout back when Grumling was the administrator. The last sound study showed there's a 1 or 2 dB margin of acceptability, yet the 2003 sound study illustrated that because of certain issues over distance, which is unusual, there's a 4 dB gain by the time it intruded the person's home, which is an unusual thing, but it was based on elevation differences. And so the sound does different things at different levels. And therefore, I understand that our ordinance stipulates you have to test the sound at the property line, but just so that we're all aware of what may be potentially rolling in increase at the property, at the home where the people are living, trying to sleep, and people are repairing their trailers. And I commend UTI for doing everything they can to silence the noise whenever possible. I totally get that. I fully understand what they've done there, and it is phenomenal what they've done to try to rectify it. But bottom line is, this last sound study was slightly flawed because it was done at a low elevation, and it was only done, right along the backside of that berm down there.
Try to shorten up a little bit there, Trustee Farquhar.
I stick to my motion that I'd like to see this done, and the residents have confirmed to me, and I believe the administrator as well, that this would pass.
There's a first and a second, correct?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Let's take a vote.
Thank you.
Gray,
No.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer,
No.
Jim Pop,
No.
Stockton,
No.
Farquhar.
Yes.
Motion fails. Anything else, Trustee Farquhar?
No.
Thank you, sir. Brings us to Road and Bridge, with Trustee Pop.
I would like to start out by saying that our final payment for Briar Lane and Elder Lane, I'd like to approve an amount of $77,070.01.
And that's the Iroquois paving, sir?
Yes, for Iroquois paving.
That's the form of motion.
Yes.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne,
Yes.
Franzer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Stockton,
Yes.
Farquhar.
Yes.
Motion carries. Anything else, sir?
Also, I'd like to say that 2 meetings ago, I went against my own senses of what the duties of a trustee are. I feel that our protocol is to deal, if we have a problem with or questions on anything, we go through the administrator or the mayor. And I inadvertently was upset over the fact that mudjacking was done, and I mentioned it at the meeting. And I asked Mr. Griselle why I did not know about it, putting him on the spot, and I want to make it clear that I was the one that was in error. I should have asked Mr. Wallace, because I would have liked to have seen it. That was a statement I made. You didn't know I wanted to see it, so it's all on me, but I just want publicly to say, protocol is not for us to deal, I feel, one-on-one with superintendents, employees, any of them, unless there's an emergency and you want to make them aware of a water main break or a car crash, who knows what, But generally speaking, my communication should be with our administration staff. End of report.
Thank you, sir. Water with Trustee Franzer.
I have one item. As everyone received a letter from a resident regarding our water policy. Just wondering if anyone had any questions at this time. Regarding this. The resident is unhappy with our policy. I took it as mainly with the reconnection fee. I sympathize with the resident, however, our goal is never to charge the residents late fees or reconnection fees. However, we need them to pay their bill on time, so that other residents don't have to pay for it in the meantime. And so, we posted our policy, it was on the water bill, it's been on the website. Unfortunately, we can't reach every resident, because we can't force them to read the website or look at their water bills for that matter. But we do ask that they pay them on time, and we do have, in our policy, an exception, if they've not paid, if they've not been late, and I believe it's a year or 24-month period, they can have a one-time exemption. So I believe that this fee should stand for this resident, just like every other resident. Otherwise, if we waive this for this resident, everybody else has the right to come back and ask for their fee to be waived. So that's where I stand on this issue. Any other trustees have anything?
Mr. Wallace, just to give the knowledge to the public, may you explain to them, since we put that policy in effect, how much it has saved us and made it easier because people are now conforming? Would that be a little higher on you?
I'll do my best, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Basically, I believe it's a little over a year ago now that the Water Committee forwarded to the Village Board a comprehensive revision to the water billing ordinance. And it boils down to this, that for those who paid, when the bill goes up, for those who pay within the original 30 days, the committee, I'll just stick with the Village Board, the Village Board did not want to alter that. 30 days is, that's been a standard for quite some time, and the majority of our accounts pay within those 30 days. It's afterwards that things were not being collected. So you end up with a late fee and a non-collection of the entire utility bill, which is not only for water, but it's for sewer, which the village has to turn around and pay for. It's for garbage pickup, which the village has to turn around and pay for. And what was in effect taking place is that the village bills were coming due from those contractors, and the village was short on cash in that fund to pay those contractors, and we would have to transfer some funds in until we collected the funds from the residents. So the whole idea behind this revamping of the ordinance was to set a more standard and rigid timeline that there was less opportunity to waiver from. And the board made it clear that their goal is not to collect late fees, and it is not to collect turn-on fees or to put any hardship on families. It is merely to collect the fees that were due the villages for the services that had already been, services and products that had already been provided. So subsequently, you have 30 days to pay. On the 31st day, the office runs a penalty bill. We produce those penalty bills, which adds a late fee of $30 onto that. They are yellow in color. The initial mailing of the bill is blue in color. Those penalty bills are mailed that same day, and the residents are given an additional 15 days in which to make that payment, which includes your penalty bill. And also stated on that bill in the remarks section is a water turn-off day. If the bill's not paid by the due date, water will be turned off the next day. Initially, I must say that it was an uphill battle. We probably started out with 300 plus penalty bills. Recently, we're down to penalty bills it varies a little bit here now. We've been as low as 123, I believe. I think the last one was about 170. And additionally, and this is the large improvement, our shut-off is down to 50. Whereas before it would take multiple days. It is now down to where we can handle it in one day. We still go out and prior to shutting off, we knock on the door and we post a notice. And that notice is particular to that address. It includes the account number, the amount that is due, the hours of operation at the village hall so that they can come up and pay, the type of payment that will and will not be accepted, and we encourage people to pay their bills on time, that's all.
Mr. Administrator,
Yes.
So you say the last time we were down about 50 to like turn off because of lack of payment?
50 was on the list, 50 did not get shut off.
Okay. And out of that, how many of those roughly would be classified as those that were shut off while there was a $30 balance?
The amount, or the number of accounts that appeared on the shut-off list that were on that list because there was an outstanding balance of $30 was approximately 17, if I'm not mistaken. Of those 17, correct me if I'm wrong, 8, I believe, actually got shut off for that.
I guess what I'm getting at, we had discussed it the last time when we got the initial backlash from this at the village board meeting. There's some concern whether, was this too harsh, and so no, just let it ride, let's see what happens the next cycle or the next cycle. We've done that, and admittedly, it's helped. But I believe that there was one consideration at the time where we not really voted on it or addressed it other than just in passing conversation, but whereas we would not do a shut-off for a $30 only balance. So if somebody was late, that $30 would be on their bill, but they wouldn't get shut off, so it wouldn't be that just because it got missed in the mail or a slight overlap in that regard, they paid the principal, but they didn't pay the late fee because somehow or other, they keyed it into their online banking mechanism that they're using or whatever else, something got messed up, or the post office for some reason was delayed a couple of days. I just believe that there's relevance in, if we have 10 or 15 or 20 or how many there are that are like that, and we're being gracious to some of them, which is great. I would just like to see it as a policy that we don't shut off the water and convenience our public works staff to deal with that. If it's a $30 balance that can just ride on their bill until the next time, $30 is not as bad as the entire water bill, and it's the late fee portion alone. It's not the entirety of the principal. That's just the burden on the system, and that, now you got 30 plus you got $100 whatever for the term.
Well, why don't I take that back to my water committee? I'll plan a water committee meeting and we can discuss that at that time.
Thank you.
If I may, I think we moved in the right direction with this, with our new ordinance and so forth. I think one thing that's missing here is we need an online component for people to pay, because if they work late, looking at their bills at 10 or 11 or 12 at night, they find they're in arrears, they can go online and take care of that. For some people, it is just not feasible to come up to the village and pay those bills in a timely manner. So if we had it online, I mean, the technology is out there, we can do that.
But I believe it is, if I may, if you drop your bill in the Dropbox the night before it's due, that is not considered being late, correct? Which is a 24-hour Dropbox.
Right, whatever they pick out of that box in the morning.
I believe what Trustee Horne is referring to though is that I believe we use Locus here in our database system for village management. And I talked to one of the gentlemen there at IML, last year, and he indicated that we should have readily available to us some features that would allow for that. And I don't know why we haven't implemented a automated payment system. Most any of your other companies, the bills you pay with, you don't even necessarily have to cut a check. You don't have to go into your online banking account. You can preset it so that it's automatically paid. There's less burden on the staff here. It just automatically gets taken out of your account. I got no problem with that as far as if we can implement something where people can have it automatically taken out. I mean, your gas bill goes up or down, but they have the ability to take that automatically out of your bank account or your credit card or whatever the method is. And then, I don't know what our credit card mechanism is here, but I know municipalities have it in place where the credit card processing fee is added onto, so the village doesn't have to pay for that convenience.
I can add that to my agenda.
Thank you.
My comment to that is that the Dropbox is always available. We always err to the side of the resident in allowing that time frame for being late. Overall, based on the gross number of accounts that we have, we're talking a very low percentage, 1 to 2%. And my personal comment as administrator would be, I would hate that the 1 or 2% guides the majority. However, you are correct in that there is a way to take online payment. We have met last week with a provider for online payment, but I'd like all the trustees to know, if you don't know, there is there's a rebound to that, for every action, there's a reaction, and that reaction is that there's fees charged for that. There's setup fees charged for that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it at all. I think that we just want to be able to understand what's out there and do it the right way. There's two beneficiaries here. It's the residents as well as the village. And I do know that, communities that have used Illinois ePay, it sounds great to the public that uses it, but in-house, it's pretty much nightmarish on how they have to balance their accounts. There's a lot of reconciliation that goes on behind the scenes. So it's just the right tool for the job, and I want the trustees to know that we are looking at that. And we met last week, and I will continue to move that forward so that at some point we can move to the online bill pay, at least at a minimum.
Ma'am, are you done?
No. I would just like to inform the board that back in December, we had voted we approved for some labor and materials required for the IEPA. We were in violation of 2 items for the chlorine room at well house number 3. And I was informed today by our superintendent that those repairs are complete. So I just wanted to inform the board on that. That is all I have this evening.
That brings economic development, no report at this time. Any unfinished business? Any new business?
Is this the appropriate time to discuss the letter that I believe all of us received regarding the legality or illegality of, if you will, of the property tax?
I was going to ask trustee Farquhar if we could bring that in executive session, because it seems like it might be probable litigation, because the indication in that letter was sort of a...
Very pointed.
Yeah, and so I'd like to bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring it in executive session, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Item L1 under new business is a request that the board, in your packet, you have that request from the Village Inn, requesting to open up at 10:30 a.m. on Sunday, February 24th. It is, the reason for opening early is to have serve a kickoff breakfast, basically for the NASCAR season. So that is before this board for a request as it goes beyond the...
That's a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I believe in the past, when we've had this in the years past, we've also made that available to any of the other establishments.
That's correct, but since we're in discussion, what I would like to do, and Mr. Boswell, you're sitting here, sir, are you awake with me? Yes, sir. We're gonna make up a form that we will hand out to the establishments that need it. Fill it out, bring it in, drop it off, because the board needs to be made aware anytime we deviate from the norm, because there's a little infractions of some, the liquor commission law, so to speak, but as long as we do it correctly, we'll be good with it. So we'll be working on these forms in the next few weeks, maybe a couple weeks, and have your name, your address, your reason, the time. So if it's after hours, the police ain't coming down on you with the black cars. I just wanted to get that out there.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Horne?
Yes.
Franzer?
Yes.
Pop?
Yes.
Stockton?
Yes.
Farquhar?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Thank you. That brings us open to the public, non-agenda items. If you have anything you'd like to speak of, come to the podium, give us your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to first. We have no takers. We close that part. We have a need to go in executive session, counsel on litigation, 2C11.
Yes, sir, I would like to have a finding of possible, probable litigation. With respect to
That's the motion.
So moved.
Roll call, Madam Clerk. I took you a second.
Prancer,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Stockton, Farquhar,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Horne.
Yes. Motion carries.